Relax in the coaching lounge and engage with compelling, motivational speakers. Be prepared to transform your inner world, to shape your outer world through empowering discussions. Tune into the Coaching Lounge now.
You're tuned in to another episode of the Coaching Lounge with your host, Rebecca Gordon, lead life coach at satellitelifecoaching.com. Listen to interviews with creative thinkers, motivational speakers, models of success, and key people of influence. Tune in, relax, engage, and transform your life now. Greetings and welcome to the Coaching Lounge podcast. I'm Rebecca Gordon and I'm your host for the next 60 minutes. Over the past few episodes, we've touched on relationships, and today we'll be delving back into that very popular topic again because we're going to be talking with an expert on this particular discussion point, and in particular talking about secrets to making a relationship last. So how many times have you seen a loved up couple who've been dating or married for ages and you've wanted to know what's their secret to making a relationship last? If you could capture the nuggets of wisdom from someone who shared some of these secrets, how awesome would that be? So my guest today is Sonia Thompson, and Sonia is a life transformation coach who's joined me in the Coaching Lounge for the topic of secrets to making a relationship last. Sonia Thompson is a life transformation coach. She works with women who have goals and dreams for their life and want to make them a reality. Sonia takes women on a journey from wishing their dreams will come true to knowing they will. She works through what barriers are in the way of this, enhances and raises their confidence levels, fine-tunes and up-levels every area of their life, and supports them to create powerful habits that will bring forth the shift and alignment with their goals and desires. Sonia, welcome to the Coaching Lounge.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Okay. So before we get into the session, I need to ask you, how have you found the hot weather?
I really love the hot weather. I think that it's about time that in the UK we had some decent sun.
Yes.
Because we've had the past few summers, it's been grey or raining and 3 days out of a month of sunshine. So I actually love it.
Yes. I almost made the mistake of saying, "Oh, it's too hot," and I had to stop myself.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So, Sonia, we met, and in one of our discussions, in a conversation we had recently, you shared that you've been married for some time. So can you share a little background on how you met your husband, please?
Yeah, sure. So I met my husband when I was 17 years old, back in 1999, and I was walking through Birmingham city centre, and typical teenage girl just wanting to really meet a nice boy, and actually because I grew up in Redditch, which is a smaller town just outside of Birmingham, and I actually came to look to Birmingham to see if there was any decent black men, quote unquote,
right. Okay.
or boys, should I say?
Yes.
David, my husband, was the first boy.
Oh, was he?
That I
Lucky
met.
him, eh?
I know, very lucky.
Oh, fantastic! But that's quite brave to do, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I'm just interested to know then, when you say he was the first black boy that you met, how did you meet then? Were you just walking?
Yeah. So I was just walking through Birmingham city centre with my friend, at the bottom of New Street, where I think Jane Norman was there, Gap, like just up there.
Right.
And I was walking up the way up that street, and he was coming down, and we locked eyes.
Oh.
And he called me over. I gave him my number, and then a few days later he called me, and then we went on our first date. About a week later, I think. We've been together ever since.
Oh, and how many years has that been now?
99, so
Yeah.
2000, so 19 years.
90. Wow, isn't that an amazing love story? Yeah, fantastic. Okay,
Thank
lovely.
you, thank you.
Okay, so when you told me that you were married and you'd been married for a good length of time,
Mm,
this is a question that people normally ask. Oh, what's the secret? How do you make it
mm,
last? Yeah.
mm.
So we're going to discuss that today.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to ask you, it's sort of like because you've been in a relationship for 19 years.
Hmm.
It's easy for someone to lose themselves in a relationship. And I'm going to say
It
it's
is.
easy for a woman to lose herself in a relationship.
Mm.
So, how important is it to create space and boundaries?
It's so important. And actually, Rebecca, that's really such a valid point that you've raised, because I feel that in the beginning, because I'd say for the first 5, 6 years of our marriage, I was so in love with him and so consumed by this love and this amazing man that I'd met, that I did kind of lose myself and who I was. I thought in the beginning, I felt very much like I was trying to keep him happy. I was so deeply in love with him at the same time. But yeah, after those first 5 years, I discovered the importance of actually making time for ourselves. But because we were so young when we met, we grew up together and we were finding ourselves with each other.
That's
And I
lovely. Yeah.
I think the dynamic of finding who we were, it was quite difficult because we were together from such a young age that we didn't know who we were without each other, if that makes sense.
Yes, 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 yeah. So, in terms of being together for that length of time, I mean, do you have
Mm.
time apart? I mean, how does that work out? Because
Um,
actually, I'll just give a bit of context. I know when I was, I'm divorced now, but
yeah.
married with my ex-husband for 19 years.
Oh
I
wow.
think we were only apart for a week or so out of all that time.
Mm.
I mean, it sounds crazy.
No,
Yeah,
that's actually we haven't we've been apart probably for a weekend actually.
right.
Like stayed out,
Yeah,
not slept together in the same bed a
yeah,
weekend out of our marriage, I would say,
right.
and that was another huge thing because we were together, we are together all the time.
Yeah.
So um, actually, me spending time away from him, from the home, from our children, he he's quite insecure. He was insecure. He's working on it now, but it was such a massive issue for him if I
Uh-huh.
was to go anywhere. But
Right.
then I'd say that over the past 5 years, I've reinforced to him that it's such a I need time apart, and I
Yeah.
go on days out, and I make
Mm.
sure that I have the time. I have me time.
Yeah. It's healthy to do that, isn't it? It's
It
healthy to
is
do that.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay. So we're
mm,
going to talk about that a little bit more a bit later on. But I
yeah,
think the most important thing, I mean, the title is of this podcast is Secrets to Making Relationship Last. And
yeah,
I'm going to insert in there Secrets to Making a Love Relationship Last.
yeah.
Um, how easy is it to do that?
I would say that it's as simple as you want it to be. It's all about your intention within the relationship. If you're committed and you want to be with that person and you genuinely want to be in relationship with them, um, then that is I think that is the most important aspect of making it last, and then everything else just builds up from there.
Mm.
Um, Communication is such a massive one as well. Um, Talking about how you're feeling and the things that you want for yourself with your partner. Um, and I would say also making time for each other, quality time together. But the foundation is absolutely your intention within your relationship. And I think I married him when I was 18, and although I was young, the vows are very important to me and instilled as part of me. As we are a unit, we are a team, and my intention has always been to be with him.
Mhm.
I think that's what's held us together.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so you've emphasized there actually, intention is very important.
Mm,
So from the outset to
mm.
find a way to establish from each other what the intention is for this relationship, so they're actually starting off on the same page, really, isn't it? And
Yes,
the other
yeah,
key thing
yeah,
you've said, yeah, is to see, and I love this, Sonia. This is great. See yourself as a team.
mm,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Because the thing is, when we're at work in our jobs, we actually work alongside people that we don't live with, we're not in a relationship
mm,
with them, but we
mm,
make it work, don't we? Because we have a
yeah,
shared objective for the organisation.
yes,
So
yeah,
I suppose it's sort of like similar, really, in a relationship, isn't it?
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. Okay, good. So, so it's about create space, boundaries, making time
Yeah,
for each other,
yeah,
time for the individual person as well in the relationship.
yes,
In the busy, well, actually, I don't know. Would you say that life these days is busy and hectic for some?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely it is. It
yeah,
really is.
yeah, yeah. So you said that you and your husband grew up together, which is fantastic.
Mm,
So just tell us some of the strategies or tips or suggestions that you have
hmm.
for how couples can grow together.
Okay. First tip I would say growing together is communicate the things that you want for yourself in your life and how you can achieve those with your partner. Um, I would say, second tip I would say is to hold space for each other, have an understanding and compassion for each other, and take the time to, if there is anything that is annoying you, that doesn't sit right with you, talk about it. The longer you hold it in, the longer it festers, and it puts a strain on your relationship. Um,
I've heard so many people say that when they share what they're not happy with, that they come across as being nagging.
mm,
What's the best way
you
to sort of
can do.
yes, yeah.
Ah, so for me, I always start with, "Baby, I love you so much. You know you're amazing, and you mean the world to me." And then I say, "However, I would like something that I'd like to talk to you about."
Right,
So
okay.
then I kind of set the tone as, you know, going with love. However,
Yes.
it's not always that easy. I do understand that there are people who have huge arguments and huge rows, and find it difficult at times to communicate in that way. But I
Mhm.
would say if that is the case for you, to just take time out to, before you do want to express what it is that's annoying you, what it is that is an issue for you, you're not going to resolve it by going in from a space of anger, from a space of upset and hurt.
Mhm.
Um, if you go in from a space of being neutral and calm, then you will be heard in a much deeper way.
Superb. Yeah, yeah. So it's coming from a neutral, calm space, a space of peace. Yeah,
Yes.
good. Okay. So, as a matter of interest, I mean, you spoke about having shared joint objectives. Do you set
Mm.
yearly goals together, 2 yearly, 5 yearly goals together? Is that something that
Um,
cements?
yeah, we set
Yeah.
yearly goals together, and that really helps us. So, um, it it gives us something, as I say, to work towards and to
Yeah.
build on.
Right.
It brings momentum
Yeah.
to our relationship and it ensures that we're on the same page.
Okay. Okay. Superb. Fantastic. Okay. So, we're talking with Sonia Thompson, who is a life transformation coach, on the secrets to making a relationship last.
Mm,
And we're talking about entering your relationship from a place of peace. Having shared dialogue, that's supportive of each other, and communication, you've stressed, is vital, and seeing yourself as a team. So, in terms of 19 years is a long time, isn't it?
It is.
It's
It really is.
yes, it's a long time.
Yes.
Keeping your relationship sacred.
Mm,
What are some ways to do
mm.
that?
I'm so glad that you asked that, because this is um, something that is such a passion of mine personally, because love and lust, there's the blurred lines, and I think that there are some people that go from one relationship to another, and I think I feel so passionate about keeping a relationship sacred, keeping it special. Again, is communication and your intention behind your relationship. Do you love them? Do you want to be in relationship with them? Do you want to share your life with them? Treat them as to how you would want them to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're coming across with pure intentions from the heart, and you treat your partner in that way, you will have that in return, and that brings such a sacred, special feeling to the relationship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Superb. I'm going to ask a question which I hadn't thought of up until now,
Mm,
because you've mentioned love and lust.
yes.
But verging on the love aspect of things,
Mm,
it might be a crazy question for some. I'm going to ask it
no.
anyway, yes. But how do you know that, you know, say if you're a female, okay, you're a woman,
Mm,
and you might have had a bad relationship, a negative relationship, you've come out of it, you've worked on yourself, you're back, you've met someone. How
mm,
do you know that there's love there? How do you know? It's about trusting yourself to go into the
mm.
relationship. But what are some indicators that this is a love relationship? Does that question make sense?
It does. I would say the indicators are that you feel very extremely such a high level of safety with that person. So you feel extremely safe and secure. You feel completely comfortable around them in their company. You feel that they have such a lovely energy that you want to be around. um, and it's a feeling that you get when you see them, when you spend time with them, when you talk with them. It's a connection that you feel. Um, it's organic and it's pure.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Sounds lovely, Sonia. Okay. So I've
Yes.
got some statistics here from the Office of National Statistics, and this broadcast, as you can tell from our accents, is in the UK. So the Office of National Statistics in the UK is cited in a report that was featured in The Independent on Wednesday, the 28th of February 2018. And it says here that the number of opposite sex marriages fell by 3.4% between 2014 to 2015. And these are the latest figures for the UK. So
Mhm.
marriages between men and women in England and Wales have fallen to a record low. There were 239,020 marriages between opposite sex couples in 2015. And the latest year that figures are available for, there was a drop by more than 8,300, or a decrease of 3.4% from 2014.
Mhm.
So, what I want to ask you is based around this.
Mm,
When people are not married, but say living together or dating,
mhm.
okay, because we're having fewer marriages, it can be easy to walk away. I mean, when you're
Mm.
married, there's little bit more of, a commitment there, isn't there, to
Yeah,
desire to make it work. But
definitely.
if you're not married, because it seems that fewer people are getting married these days. If a couple aren't married, they're living together or dating, and they're on the verge of, calling it a day. What are some things that individuals or couples can do before they make a final decision to end their relationship, would you say?
The first thing I would recommend is for them to ask themselves, is this truly what they really want? really just take the time to feel into that and to envision what life was like without their partner. Second thing I would say is see if you can work out how to resolve or salvage whatever the issue is, what you can put in place, and how you can work together to improve the relationship to bring back an element of connection and relationship between you both. The third thing I would say to do is to see how maybe I would say take the time, take some time apart if that's what you really want, and then see if you can come back together after a few weeks and see if anything has changed or has shifted for you.
Okay. So have a little bit of space
Yes,
to
yeah,
gather
because I
yourself.
feel that there can be times where you do feel like you need that breathing space.
Yeah, yeah, okay, of course, yeah. And before people get to that stage where they're thinking, oh, okay, this is make or break,
Mm,
you've mentioned the word connection.
yeah,
So, in order to reconnect when something goes wrong, so it could be an argument, a disagreement,
yeah.
especially if there's children, there might be differences of opinion.
Hmm.
Um, can you offer any tips to help people work on reconnecting even before they get to thinking, oh, I'm going to call it a day?
Yes, yeah, again, talking, communication, express what it is that's causing the disconnect for you. And if your partner is willing to compromise, to meet you in the middle so that you can again join hands and walk forwards together to resolve it, um, I would say to do that. Um, spend time away. So go take a weekend away if you can, anywhere, or if not a weekend, a week, a day, however long you can to take out. Take some time out together, um, and see whether or not, because we get so caught up in our daily lives, in our homes together, whether we live together or apart. Take some time out away from your daily life and from your home to go somewhere completely different and see what it feels like there.
Anthony Robbins, he's a great advocate for changing your energy, changing your space, isn't he? Which gives a
Absolutely.
different perspective. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've mentioned the importance of expressing your wants, your needs within the relationship, and on the reverse of that as well. Because you mentioned actually if your partner's willing, it's really important for both partners, I think, to listen. You know,
Mm,
and there's sort of like an exercise, quite a well-known exercise, quite simple exercise actually, where you just sit and just listen to the person speak for, it could be 5 minutes, and don't ask any questions, don't interrupt, just let them speak, and just
mm,
accept what they're saying without
yeah.
judgment really. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah. Now, I went to Romania a few months ago now, actually. I had a great time, and I went for a wedding, and it was a
Mm,
really lovely occasion. And what I really liked about the Romanian wedding experience is that the couple to be, before they got married, they told me that a tradition in Romania is that they have to choose godparents. So the couple who are getting married choose godparents for themselves.
oh wow.
And I thought that was an amazing concept.
Mm,
So what it means that if there's any challenges in their relationship, then they can go to a set of godparents.
ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, who can help them sort of like mediate and talk it out and come to some balance within that relationship. Isn't that amazing, Sonia?
I love that idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such that it strength such brings such strength to a relationship, I believe.
Yes, 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 yeah.
And it
So
also,
yes,
sorry,
carry on.
it because I think men, particularly men of British culture, I feel can be quite closed off, and why are they getting involved in our business, etc., etc., or men in general. I
Yes, I
think
think
that
so.
concept of having those godparents um, enables the man to be more open to sharing their problems and their relationship, marriage problems with others. So that's
Absolutely.
really, I love that concept.
Yeah, I think we need to adopt it here, don't we?
Yes, sure.
Great, great. Okay, so we're actually going to take a an announcement break.
Okay.
That'll just be a couple of minutes, and when we return on the other side, I've got some more information to present, and
Mhm.
we will be discussing with Sonia third parties in relationships.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
so stay tuned. Don't go away. We shall be back shortly.
Choose Satellite Life Coaching and get support to create a perfect system to rapidly shift from thinking about your dream to living it. In your sessions, we will explore the exact mindset, behaviour, and actions that make up your success blueprint. You will embrace new perspectives, be excited to work the plan, and vibrate with confidence as you manifest your vision. Are you ready to connect with the best version of you? Getting started is easy. Book your free discovery session at www.satellitelifecoaching.com. Let this be the best empowering action you choose today to change your life.
Think big for a moment. If you could create your best life, how would this look? What if, in just 30 minutes, you had a plan of action to get closer to your dream? Make the impossible possible and claim your free session today. Visit www.satellitelifecoaching.com now.
You're listening to the Coaching Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Gordon. I'm also a certified personal performance coach and have been doing that role for the past 9 years. To find out more about what I do, please visit www.satellitelifecoaching.com. But now, today, you are here with myself, Rebecca Gordon, and life transformation coach Sonia Thompson, and we're talking about how to make a relationship last, a love relationship last. And I think much more than that, what we're talking about, Sonia, is how to nourish and cultivate a relationship. So, it's just like we've been talking about the weather. It's been so hot these past few weeks, not even days, weeks, The grass hasn't had any rain and the grass looks just, yellow and, wiltering. So it's just like that with a relationship. If we don't
Exactly.
put the effort in to nourish it, to water it, to give it some fertilizer, it's going to wilt. So, life transformation coach Sonia Thompson is giving us some indicators and guidelines and support and tips and strategies on how to cultivate a love relationship. And what we're going to touch on now, Sonia, is when a loved up couple becomes a crowd. So, that saying, three is a crowd.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, if that third person happens to be a child that comes along, a child that takes the parent's focus, what can a couple do to balance the priorities of each other in the relationship? So to balance, with a partner and with a new child.
That's such a good question. And for me, my experience of when my children were first born, because I have 3 children, my husband was absolutely amazing, so supportive for me because all of our children, they're so deeply loved and they were all planned and we were ready and we prepared for them. He was really supportive in terms of anything that I needed doing around the house or to support me, anything with the new baby. He was always there. Um, to to balance the aspect of having a baby and also having a relationship, I would say is to just, I think, go with the flow. And I know that's easier said than done, but then again, it's about communicating because when you have a new baby, it is the focus does have to go on them because they're so demanding and not in a negative way, that's who they are as a young child. and then growing up 2, 3, 4, 5 years of age, again, it's the same. Um, I think because then you're both becoming parents, you adopt that role as a parent as well as husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever role it is that you adopt. When a child comes into a relationship, you also adopt the new role as a parent. I think that it takes a natural unfolding, and it brings the reality that now it's three in the relationship. It's not just the two of you. An important thing as well, in and amongst that, if you can, is to spend quality time together, however you can, while the child is there.
Yeah, and I mean, when I went to Ghana on one of my visits some years ago, what struck me was that this is where the wider family come in useful, don't they? Really?
Yeah.
So the communal family where you've got uncles, aunts, brothers and sisters, grandparents who are on hand to babysit. When actually in the UK it might be a little bit more challenging for that. So maybe also it's about, before the children, just maintaining your network of friendships and relationships. So, you can call on people at that time. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it sounds like you've got the perfect husband, Sonia.
Oh, well, no, I wouldn't quite say perfect. I've learned I think because now I've learned so much about men in particular and marriage and how they are in a relationship, that it's really given me an understanding and a level of compassion towards who he is. And he has loved me wholly and purely since we met, to be honest, Rebecca. And I think that has been one of the most fundamental things as to why we're still together, is the love that we have for each other.
So you probably can read my mind at this moment because that was one of the questions. So just to capture this key point then. So when you started off a relationship and still in it up to now, 19 years later, a key thing has been for you both to seek to understand each other. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, seek to understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's been vital for you as one of the successful, one of the successes, ways to have success in a relationship. So
absolutely.
Okay, and would you say that there is anything else that might have made the difference to your partnership being successful?
Yes. Another thing that's made a difference is to, I said it before, treat them as to how you would want them to treat you. So if you want to be treated with love, kindness, and respect, then that's how you treat your partner. Another big thing also for me is showing gratitude whenever they do something for you. Even if it's washing the dishes after you've been together for so long, we can expect things, and we can expect things of our partner. And I think expectations can ruin relationships. So coming from a space of gratitude and love for them. And then I would say it's also communication again.
Yeah, that's key. Yes. But I just need to ask you though. I mean, this might not be an uncommon situation, but you might, doing all the things you've said, treat them as to how they, how you want to be treated, showing gratitude. What if over a period of time it's obvious that that's one-sided?
Okay.
Yeah. So because without expectations and what we expect another person to be like in a joint situation, it could be that there's some imbalances, and the other partner might not appreciate. They might take it for granted. They may not offer to do the same. So what can happen in those types of situations if it's just a one-sided scenario?
Communicate this to them and let them know that how you're feeling, like it's one-sided, and say, hey baby, I'd love if you could help me more with X, Y, and Z. And then if they don't, again, see and evaluate how you feel about that. If they are willing to put in the effort and make the changes, and then if they're not, and if that's a deal breaker for you, then do what you need to do.
Yeah, great. Okay,
Yeah.
because this is where godparents would come in, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would. Yeah, I can just imagine it.
Yeah. But hey, to your listeners out there, if you're in this type of situation, you have myself, Rebecca Gordon, personal performance coach, and Sonia Thompson, life coach, who you can call on as godparents.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I've got some information here for the listeners. Gary W. Lewandowski, a relationship scientist, a professor of psychology at Monmouth University, asserts that there are 15 questions that he says can help you predict if your relationship will last. Dr. Lewandowski states that responding yes to these questions that are formulated based on science-backed data and intuition means that your relationship is worth remaining in, and saying no means that your relationship needs to be worked on. So I'm actually going to read out the questions, Sonia, and I'll be interested in your feedback. Because what he says is that saying yes to these questions means that it's worth remaining in the relationship, and saying no means that there needs to be some work. Okay, so here are the questions. Question number 1. Does your partner make you a better person, and do you do the same for them? Number 2, are you and your partner both comfortable with sharing feelings, relying on each other, being close, and able to avoid worrying about the other person leaving? Question number 3, do you and your partner accept each other for who you are without trying to change each other? Question 4, when disagreements arise, do you and your partner communicate respectfully and without contempt or negativity? Question 5, do you and your partner share decision-making, power and influence in the relationship? I'm just going to stop there for a moment because we've got a big chunk of questions. Let's just look at the 5. So what are your thoughts on those questions?
Yeah, those are really profound questions, and they're very key things that are the fundament, the basics and the fundamentals and the workings of a relationship. Yeah.
I particularly like the first one. Does your partner make you a better person? Because it's not about changing your partner, but it's about enhancing them and helping them to see the best in themselves. I think really. Would you want to add to that? Or
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's about encouraging them, and when they're not being their best selves, and you can see this, checking in with them and seeing how they are and what's going on with them.
And that's really supportive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So I'm going to go for the next chunk of 5. Is your partner your best friend, and are you theirs? Number 7, do you and your partner think more in terms of we and us rather than you and I? Number 8, would you and your partner trust each other with the passwords to social media and bank accounts? Oh, that's a tricky one, isn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
On that question?
Yes, in this social media culture,
If you have nothing to hide, then why not let them have your password, is my response to that.
Okay, so that's a viewpoint. Yeah. Okay. Number 9, do you and your partner have good opinions of each other without having an overinflated positive view? And number 10, do your close friends as well as your partners think you have a great relationship that will stand the test of time? So another set of interesting questions. Number 9, do you and your partner have good opinions of each other without having an overinflated positive view? That's important to reflect on, isn't it, in a relationship?
It is.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you can really sit down and be honest with yourself about your partner, and actually you do have a positive opinion of them, then that is really key.
Yeah. And also, I think if it's overinflated, you're putting somebody on a pedestal, seeing them as godlike, maybe, grandiose, when actually they might have some flaws and some things that they need to deal with,
Yeah.
which don't get deal with, um, and that's probably the extreme of that is probably a topic on narcissistic tendencies in relationships.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Okay, so let's go for the last set of questions. So, number 11. Is your relationship free of red flags like cheating, jealousy, and controlling behaviour? Number 12. Do you and your partner share the same values when it comes to politics, religion, the importance of marriage, the desire to have children or not, and how to parent? And one of the things that stood out quite positively when you were speaking was saying that you planned your children, you and your partner.
Mm,
That's that's lovely to hear because it sounds as if you actually projected into the future of a couple and
mm,
understood what stages or what things you'd like to happen at each stages of your coupledom.
yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, great. And number 13, are you and your partner willing to sacrifice your own needs, desires, and goals for each other without being a doormat? Number 14, do you and your partner both have agreeable and emotionally stable personalities? And number 15, are you and your partner sexually compatible?
Mm,
Yeah. So from those questions, I mean, Dr. Lewandowski says that if you're saying no to any of these questions, and it could be bad news for your relationship because it
okay.
might mean your relationship might need to have some work done on that.
Mm,
And listeners, you can visit Dr. Lewandowski's site at www.scienceofrelationships.com, but I will put the link in the in the information page. Okay. So what are your thoughts then about those questions?
mm. Very thought-provoking and things that you really have to face off with about your relationship. And
Hmm.
I think there are things that we can brush under the carpet and make allowances and acceptances for um, within a relationship. But then I think you set the bar as to how you want to be treated in a relationship if you do that and you're not honest with yourself.
Absolutely, that's right. And it's sort of like a little bit challenging to move, beyond that,
Mm,
if it's not looked at that time.
yeah,
But it is that there's help out there, isn't there?
for
You
sure.
know,
There's a lot of help. Yeah.
yeah. I interviewed Marion Hanson, who's a relationship counsellor. I've
Mm,
also interviewed Joyce Schaefer, who's spoken about relationships and red flags. And there
mm,
are lots of relationship coaches people who are experts, or counsellors or therapists, who can
mm,
support couples if they're going through a rocky patch. So the other point is, Sonia, um,
yes.
about love languages. Do you know about the
Oh,
love language?
yeah.
Yeah, Five
Yes,
Love
I do.
Languages by
Yeah.
Gary Chapman. Yeah. So,
Mm,
listeners, if you're thinking, oh no, I've said no to one or two or three of these questions, don't
mhm,
despair. Okay.
mhm,
So, investigate the Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. That might be useful to help turning things around. And
mm,
when you discover your love language profile, you'll know your primary love language, what it means, and how you can use it to connect to others. So, again, I'll put the link
mhm,
in the show notes. But love language, there's a profile you can take, which is at www.5, and that's a number 5, lovelanguages.com/profile/. Okay. So, Sonia, before we
yeah.
move away, yes, from the topic of relationships, is there
Mm.
anything that I've not asked you about that you think it's important to mention relating to, secrets to making a love relationship last?
Yes, yeah. I think one of the things that is another important aspect is sex and intimacy as well, because that creates an element of connection for you. So, as well as having the connection on emotional level, I think the intimacy and making that time for each other, coming together, it really rounds it up as a whole, and it brings an element of togetherness and trust to the relationship. It's very important. Sex is, I think, very important to men in general. So, yeah, it's really important to make time for that as well, and
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what's coming to mind here is that sometimes, you can love someone, but you have to ask yourself, do you really like them?
Yeah,
And
sure.
we're talking about, like you say, sex and the intimacy. It's about the relationship being at a different level. So not being a parent, not but just being the two of you and
Yeah,
discovering a different aspect to each other, which does
yeah.
add to the bond. Yeah, so I agree with you there, definitely.
Oh, good.
Yes, okay. So Sonia, let's talk about you and
Mm-hmm.
what you do in your services. So tell me
Yep.
more. Yes, tell me more, please, about what led you to becoming a coach.
I uh, just after I had my youngest son, around he's sorry 9 years ago, I experienced post-traumatic stress and anxiety because he was born via emergency cesarean section, and the result of that being the trauma of that manifested as anxiety.
Right.
And how the anxiety impacted me was that I thought every day for 6 months that I was going to contract cancer, die, and leave my children.
Right.
And it was a really dark time for me, the most difficult thing that I've ever experienced in my life. It was like my deepest, darkest fear. So imagine your deepest, darkest fear playing out in your mind over and over again. And you're not in a space where you can rationalize, where you can control the thoughts. It just overtakes you, it consumes you. So that was what I experienced for 6 months after my youngest son was born. But then I would say in the 7th month after he was born, I began to reach out to others. I did have support from my husband and from my immediate family at the time, but I reached out to my friends and people in my church at the time, um, because it was such a difficult time for me, and they supported me with prayer and with support and love, and I managed to overcome the anxiety, and I really learned the the term mind over matter, because it was about me retraining my mindset and retraining my thoughts to rationalize what was actually reality, because that never happened and still has not happened 9 years later.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was just going to say you are right, because sometimes we can have something just fixated in our thoughts so much that it becomes
Mhm.
real, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
Yeah, and it is like, what you say, can be the reality, it can be your world, and you feel like you're just immersed in this. When actually, there's a different
Mm,
aspect. Yeah, so
yeah.
that experience was a catalyst for you to look at coaching.
Yeah, well, sort of, because then following that, I retrained my mind and I retrained my mindset, and I realized that actually you can overcome anything, that if you want to, it's just about putting your mind to it. And then 3 years ago, so in 2015, I discovered, I went on quite a spiritual journey. I discovered meditation, and um, went on a journey where I learned and understood the importance of who I was and connected with what I wanted for myself, in my life and my life goals. Um, I understood and really implemented the law of attraction into my life, manifestation, and how we can create the life that we want. It really um, became reality for me, and I raised my level of consciousness and awareness, self-awareness, and all of the journey that I've been through in the past four years. I would say I've collated it all and put into my coaching program.
Okay,
Um,
super.
yeah, it's been an organic process for me, and I'm so passionate about helping women to realise that actually you can have whatever you want for yourself in your life.
So what are the services that you offer?
So I have a 12-week coaching program called Harmonise Your Life, and I go through different aspects of different areas of our lives. I look at your daily habits, your daily routines. I put together a 5-year plan for you and a 12-month plan. I look at your thought processes and teach you as how to go from thoughts that don't serve you to having thoughts that do serve you. So it's a 12-week program that I offer for my coaching program.
And what's one success story that stands out for you?
Okay, yes. So one client that I'm actually working with at the moment, when I first started working with her, she was in a space where she felt so confused, didn't know what she wanted with her life, to do with her life. She was really unhappy in herself, and I've supported her to create a plan that she's now working towards. In particular, her daily habits were not serving her, so she was around negative people. She was consuming, watching and reading things that were negative for her, having a negative influence on her. So I've coached her with creating effective daily habits, such as going out into nature and running, walking in nature, also meditation and affirmation. And since working with her, so we're on week 10 now, she feels such a transformation in her life. She is now looking into, because she wants to work with young people who have been affected or in the care system. And so she's researching as to how she can go about doing that, and she's feeling really passionate and excited about bringing that into her life.
Fantastic energy there. Great. Okay. And you also have speaking engagements. You do speaking as well. Yeah. So what are some of the topics that you cover?
The topics that I cover in my speaking are spirituality, meditation, and crystals. So I speak all about those different topics and how you can use them to improve and elevate and up-level your life.
Fantastic.
My second keynote speech is self-love. What does this mean? How you can implement it into your life. Again, to up-level your life, how you feel about yourself and others. And to give you to feel good in our skin as well. It's really important as women that we feel good in our skin. That's my second keynote speech. And then the third one is mindset is key. So I speak about how you can up-level your mindset, strategies that you can use to combat negative thought processes. I speak about looking at the people that are in your life. Who are they serving you or are they not serving you? This all has an impact on our mindset. And also it's about perspective. So an example being, when I'm stuck in traffic now and I think, oh, I'm going to be late for such and such because I'm not there at the time that I'm supposed to be, I now lean more into the knowing and understanding that maybe something would have happened to me had I have gone this way a minute earlier. Maybe there would have been an accident. So it's about perspective as to how you view and look at things within your mindset and having an effective mindset.
And trusting the process, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So have you got any engagements coming up soon that the listeners can think about attending if they're local?
I don't have any engagement plans at the moment, no. However, my coaching services, that is something that I am hot on at the moment, and
we'll take the details in a moment
with clients, so it's live on my website.
Quick fire questions. Okay, you ready?
Are
you ready? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, good.
Yes, fire away.
What's your measure of success?
How good I feel about my life and about myself.
Okay, and tell us more about that. So where do you feel at the moment? If you could sum your life up now in a word, what's the word?
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled. Superb. Okay. What book are you reading at the moment?
Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Oh, isn't he fabulous? Yes.
Oh, he's amazing. I love him
Yes.
so much.
Dr. Wayne Dyer. I love listening to him on YouTube.
Yeah.
So some lovely information, great information there. Okay.
Mhm.
And what is at the moment, up to now, what's the key message that you've got from that book, Sonia?
Key message is to trust yourself, trust in your decisions that you make for yourself in your life, and also to understand, to trust the process.
Okay, great. Okay. So, my word for 2018 is audacious. Okay, and my mantra is I have the audacity. Okay, because for me it's about being bold, being daring, and being fearless. So, what's your word for 2018, Sonia?
My word is joy.
Mm-hmm.
So doing things that make me feel so good and so blissfully happy, and if it's not that, then it's a no.
Okay, excellent. Because it's important to create barriers, isn't it, and boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
as the saying goes, we treat others how to treat us. Superb.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what tools or tell me one tool or strategy that you use to support your self-care journey?
Oh, the most profound tool is meditation for me. Connecting with my higher self, with God, Jesus, whoever that is for you, taking the time to just quiet my mind and just be still.
Yeah, excellent. And what keeps you in the moment?
Deep breaths. I throughout the day I just take 12 seconds to just take some deep breaths and be in the moment.
And I've noticed that you drink lots of water, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's next for you, Sonia?
Next for me is we are planning on buying our first home next year.
Excellent.
Within my business is just to keep serving my clients with my coaching services.
Okay.
I plan to hold a retreat in Hawaii in a couple of years as well for my clients.
Wow, that's fantastic. Something nice to look forward to.
Mm.
Yeah, okay.
And my goal, ambition, dream is to be on Super Soul Sunday with Oprah Winfrey.
All right, okay. Okay, great.
Yes.
So now we're ready to actually take your website details. So how can listeners be in touch with you, Sonia?
Yes, so they can find me at www.soniaannethompson.com, and they'll find all of the information about what I do on there. I have a lot of inspirational content on my Facebook page, which is at Sonia Ann. That's ASONIAANNE. And I also have a Facebook group called Harmonise Your Life.
Fantastic. Okay. So do you have any final words for the listeners, Sonia?
I do, and that is that you are an amazing, powerful being, and you can create whatever you want for yourself in your life.
Perfect. Sonia Thompson, thank you so much for joining me in the Coaching Lounge. I've enjoyed our discussion and exploration on secrets to making a relationship last, plus finding out more about your coaching services. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning into the Coaching Lounge. Join us next time for more insightful interviews with inspiring guests. You can hear previous shows on SoundCloud by searching for Satellite Life Coaching. We're always interested to hear your feedback and topic suggestions, so don't hesitate to email us on info@satellitelifecoaching.com.